Hello, it is Diane with Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com, and I wanted to play around with the Give It a Whirl dies, and so I created some cards with the Playing in the Rain stamp set and dies, as well as the Give It a Whirl dies. And let me kind of show you. These are the dies that come with the Give It a Whirl, and you have the front panel, which creates the little finger notch. This also cuts that stitched image around there. This is the wheel that goes inside that you're able to turn, and then there are a few different one of these windows that creates a place for you to be able to view the images. It comes with this wide open one. There's one that's in a heart shape, there's a circle, and then there is a rectangle. Now, one thing you will need to pay attention to is the stamp sets that you're wanting to use, either the images or those sayings, and pick the window that will best fit that, or pick the stamp set that will best fit the window you want. On this card, I also used the dies for the clouds and created that on the front, and then let me move these over. The Playing in the Rain stamp set and the Playing in the Rain dies, they are in the current 2023-24 catalog as separate pieces. I just put mine in my case so that I could keep up with them, and it has several of these dies that will actually cut out the images, like the rabbit, so it'll cut out this rabbit, it'll cut out the fox with the umbrella, and then it'll cut out the turtle, as you see here. It also has some rain, some clouds. It does have its own dies for cutting out clouds. It has a kite, and then the bow ties for the kites. You could also use these bow ties on the characters, and it cuts out a couple of butterfly images. And this puddle of rain, it cuts that out, and the umbrella. And also there is a stamp, and I've got them over here. It does have a stamp with the daisies on it, and this one die right here cuts that daisies out. So those are the stamp sets that I'm using with this one, and I just chose to go with the daisies, as well as the rainy days are better with you, and then the other saying, oh happy day. I am using a retired designer series paper that had come out with this stamp set and dies as a suite of products. This grass is created with the dies from the Playing in the Rain. It has a couple of pieces of these grass. It also has a stump and a bridge that you could do to create a scene. So let me put these off to the side, and I'll go over the measurements for the card pieces will be over on my blog at Diane's Blue Hearts and Butterflies.com. So you'll need a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of balmy blue cardstock. You'll score that at 5 1/2, which is in the center, and then you will burnish that to get a crisp edge. You will need a piece for the inside that is 5 1/4 by 4. I took another piece of the designer series paper and cut a strip to go over on this side that will adhere, and it is 5 1/4 by 3/4, and that will go on the inside. I created a layer for to go behind the panel and the wheel. The wheel will go in between, and this piece is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and that's what I also cut the designer series paper to originally, because then I used the die and cut the front panel part out of that, and it just fit right inside that size of designer series paper. I took and made my wheel out of a cut it from a 4" by 4" square piece of thick cardstock, and I don't know if you can really tell, but the die, let me get over, the die for the wheel, it has this little kind of some people call it a peace sign look in it, and it kind of leaves a little bit of an embossed area so you could kind of see it. But when I wanted to go to doing my stamping on here, I took a pencil and I lined up the one leg on the grid paper with a number, kind of the center of that, and then found the center in the hole. And then I took this piece and I centered it over the hole, and then you can kind of see those legs, I don't know what to call it, for that. And then I just kind of lightly with a pencil went inside there, and then I did that on all 3 sides. Find that other leg right here, so that I would know where to stamp those images, because sometimes it's a little hard to see if it's not marked. So I'm just going to, sorry, this is taking a little bit of time, but it'll help when you go to do your stamping to have this kind of drawn out a little bit. And then you will also need to have an eraser. That'll help you to, after you get everything stamped, you'll want to get rid of those lines. And then kind of get that in the middle. So that's what I did with the wheel and the die, and that helped me with the stamping part. So this wheel I cut out with the die. Now the die for the front panel and the wheel, they will not work on the mini cut and emboss machine. You have to have the larger one to use these two. It's just a little bit too small for this one. It won't cut all the way to the edge on both sides. Just a kind of a warning. I then, like I said, I cut out the clouds from these dies, and then I also stamped and die cut the turtle. I stamped these pieces of grass, and I did this in Old Olive to match on the cardstock that I used. And then I took and cut a 1" circle from the designer series paper, because it's going to help with the movement of the wheel better. I was watching several people putting these together. My first one that I put together, it was a little hard to move, and I'll talk about that when I go to put it together. But on this, you just kind of gauge about where the center is. Using the piercing tool on your take your pick tool, you're just going to want to punch a hole kind of in the center-ish of that. And then I had some strips of Cajun Craze left over, and to cover over an area where I put two different cardstocks together, and I did that before I cut it out. I went ahead and glued it on. But I just took this strip and made it so that it could be glued on and then just cut off, because I had a whole bunch of these strips left. So that's it's a 1/4 inch, and then if you want to cut it down to approximately 4, but I left mine a little bit long so that I could cut it off and have it be exact. And then of course you'll need a brad to have this mechanism work. And then you'll want to stamp and color all your pieces. Now I have already done some of this over here, and I'm going to, let me talk about it here. So when I went to stamp, I also had a post-it note that I die cut that shape out of, because I wanted to kind of put a mask around so that I didn't stamp outside of this area, but it also helped me to see the stamps better. So where I wanted to have that stamp. And so let me cut it upside down. And then I just kind of take a look and stamp that in the window. And then I just kind of went around and moved that. I did it for the other sentiments and words as well. Got my "Oh Happy Day" upside down too. And then line that up in there. And then I used also the "Rainy Days Are Better With You." All right. Stick those over here. Clean them off in a minute. So that just helped make things go a little bit easier. And then I've got everything already stamped and colored and ready to put together in here. So now on my layered piece, the big one, I did go ahead and kind of line it up where I wanted my border to be, and then kind of drew a little bit of the finger hold here. And then I have a bunch of old circle punches, and then I just kind of went in here and did a half circle so that I would create a little bit bigger area for the finger hold to be able to go on here, and so that there wasn't anything behind the wheel to catch on it, and I could kind of use my fingers for that. So let me use this. Go ahead and stick this piece for the inside. And I just did it all the way up to the edge and bumped it there. If you wanted to stamp your image in color and sentiments or whatever, you could do that before you glue this on. And then you just glue this inside. And then you could either pop this up or just glue it down. I am gluing it down because so many other things are going to be popped up on the front, and I didn't want it to be too thick in the envelope. Just want to make sure that none of this is going to come loose and interfere with anything. And this is just a very thin border. Alright, so I was watching, and this one I kind of took from Sharni Haynes out of Australia, and I can't remember if it was her or the other lady I was watching, but she suggested, one of them suggested, instead of running the, I mean you run the brad through here and then through the wheel and then through the back, that instead of having it be seen on the front, or and also so that it doesn't get hung up as much, if you run the brad through the wheel and then through this piece of designer series paper, and then you'll open up the prongs on the back. It doesn't, you don't want it to be too tight. And then you're going to put, it does fit the large dimensional, one on each side of the prong. But don't remove your backings yet. And then one thing you're definitely going to want to watch out for is you're going to want to line this up kind of on the front to see where this goes. And then you're going to want to put your, I used the foam strips, adhesive foam strips, to put on the back side of the front. Now you just don't want the dimensionals to be where it's going to interfere with the card. And so just going to put a little bit at each corner. I'll have to cut that off. Get the scissors. Should have had the scissors at the beginning. That one. And then I need another little piece. Over here. Okay. Now you don't tear any of the backings off yet. You're going to want to line this up where your brad can be seen through the hole, and so that your messages are seen through the window well. I want to try a couple of them. I'm going to do it with this one because it's the wider one. I want to make sure that it fits in here with that. Now you're going to want to take off the backings for the little circle at the back. And you're going to want to hold the wheel where it needs to go. You're also going to want to look and check your background layer. Make sure things are lined up where you want them. And then you're going to stick that center part down. It leaves it a little bit popped up so that it has a little room to spin. Now you're going to, before you stick this down, now that I'm thinking about it. You're going to want to add, and I'm awful with white glue. Very bad. Oh. It always comes out really fast in the beginning for me, for some odd reason. And I'm not even squeezing it. Sorry about this. Maybe it's because I had it upside down. So I'm just going to try to put a little bit on this. I'm going to get a little bit off of it because I just got too much. I'm going to decorate the front, puts things together. Get some of this excess over here and take some. I'm going to decorate the front before I stick it all together. And then just take the scissors at the back, cut that excess off. Okay, so there's that piece. All right. Just gonna put a little bit of glue on this piece of grass and stick it directly down. I think I'm going to wait on my clouds till I get it put together because I want to be able to hang it over the edge a little bit. The turtle, I am going to put some dimensionals on. Then the other piece of grass, I'm going to put some dimensionals on. And I cut some of these in half to put in other areas. So I'll put my turtle on. Sorry this is taking longer than the normal. I'm trying to keep them not be so long, but I wanted to be able to share the whole thing this time with you. And you can use this Give It a Whirl dies with so many different stamp sets and sentiment stamps, and for any occasion, even the old retired things like the piggies and the donkeys and other things like that. I think I even saw someone use it with the rhino. At least this type of one, because you're creating a scene on the front and all the messages and things are inside. So now I'm going to take the backings off of the foam strips. Come on. For some odd reason today, having a hard time grabbing these. And then you're going to want to look through your window. Get that thing straightened up a little better, because I'm going to make sure that I would get that through there, and that I'm also having my border around on the back side. And then you press those edges down, and then you have this card that has a wheel that turns and gives you several different messages. And like I said, you want to glue on these clouds. This one I wanted it to hang over a little bit. Give it a little more dimension there. And then this one, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's this one. I'm just going to glue down. And I'm going to cover up that hole. And this other one, I'm going to put some dimensionals on it. And put it up in the other corner. You could add a bow, you could add other things. Instead of this strip, you could have had ribbon or something if you wanted to. So just kind of gives it more of a 3D kind of effect. So that's what I was trying to go for here. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video and have fun around with playing with cards and doing these projects with me. Again, the measurements for everything will be over on my blog at dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com. And if you like the projects that I make, if you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel, then you'll be able to see other videos that I make. And if you click the bell icon, it'll notify you when I upload a new video. And I hope that you'll like and share all of these things that you do enjoy. And I hope that you'll come back and view other projects that I make. Thank you.